Good evening, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project, Magnetic Reversal News, Sacred Geography, and Shinrin Yoku, bringing you a grand solar minimum update Friday, July 7th, around 8:30 p.m. Mountain Time 2023. We are all waiting for the eruption to occur on the Reykjanes Peninsula on Iceland. As the seismic swarm continues, we have live stream footage from multiple locations. There is no earthquake or there is no volcanic eruption yet at the surface, but all telemetry is showing us that there is magma moving towards the surface and an eruption is imminent. Now, not only are we worried about Reykjanes here and the eruption here at Fagradalsfjall, a second earthquake swarm at the southwestern tip of Iceland is triggering an alert for Eldey volcano today. So we may have a 1-2 punch, a subsurface volcano going off the tip of Iceland, as well as a surface rupture at Fagradalsfjall. Keep calm, it's boom time. A detailed analysis of Iceland later in the show. Stay tuned. It hailed for 48 minutes. Baseball-size hail. A Nebraska farmer deals with extreme storm damage as El Niño is back and surging temperatures are bringing extreme weather and threatening lives. Here is the U.S. winter outlook for this El Niño, which will bring much wetter conditions to the south and drier conditions to the north. Many people were asking how the winter will be, but the summer will certainly be a hot bummer. El Paso facing record-breaking heat wave nears 23 days of triple-digit temperatures. That could break a record soon there. An extreme heat wave is bound for Phoenix and Southwest. It could be the worst ever, but they're always fear-mongering, and it is hot in summer. What a bummer. Here is the heat index forecast. Now remember, this isn't the actual temperature, which leaves you pause. There were actually dates in the 1930s when the entire U.S. was above 90 and 100 degrees. And this is just real feel. That's not the actual temperature. And just a small portion of the South is under dangerous heat index forecasts. So certainly not like the 1930s, but good enough for the mainstream to use to scare the pants off of you. Severe thunderstorms, excessive rain, and dangerous heat this weekend. Strong to severe storms are expected this weekend across a large chunk of the U.S., from parts of the high plains to the southeast and mid-Atlantic. Also, heavy rain and storms may produce flooding in several areas of the country over the 2-day forecast period. Finally, a dangerous heat wave will stretch from the desert southwest all the way to Florida in the southern tier of the U.S. So, drink plenty of cold beverages and stay inside near the swamp cooler. Seismic update. The whole country, the whole world, all calm. Take a look. The only noticeable uptick here is in Iceland with just a few 4.2s being shown, when the reality is there are thousands of quakes. Over 5,500 now, and here, as of reporting here 13 hours ago, 4,700 earthquakes rocking Iceland within 3 days. And that's in the Reykjanes Peninsula and now offshore at that new volcanic threat. Here is the Reykjanes Ridge earthquakes during the last 48 hours. We will refresh that. There have been several pulses of activity, ebbs and flows. See here, the activity drops down. It picked up last night, and then it dropped back down today, and it is now moderating. So some of the lowest levels of seismic activity, which is indicative of the magma now reaching the surface and soon to break through. Let's take a quick look at the latest update from Iceland, geology.net. Update on the activity at Fagradalsfjall Mountain on the 7th of July, 1428 UTC. The largest earthquake in the last 24 hours seems to be a magnitude 4.3. Inflation in the area close to Kelir has reached 20 centimeters in less than 48 hours. And earlier today, we reported on Twitter that it was up 18 centimeters. So the inflation is continuing. An inflow of magma is estimated to be 88 cubic meters per second. Now, that is a lot of magma moving in to the region and moving in fast. It is unclear where the eruption is going to happen, but there has been a drop in earthquake activity that strongly suggests that magma is close to finding a path to the surface. According to measurements, the magma is now less than 1 kilometer from the surface. And we have live streams here in the region of Fagradalsfjall This is from Afar TV. Give him a thumbs up there. Tell him Diamond sent you. We have a second feed here coming from live from Iceland. Give him a thumbs up there. Subscribe if you can. And wait for the impending doom. Now, we have a second earthquake swarm at Iceland's southwestern tip, which is triggering an alert for Eldey volcano. And this is showing a magma chamber being in place somewhere between 5 and 10 kilometers and magma pooling now at 1 kilometer below the surface. So we could have this could be an amazing event that is unfolding here in Iceland, where we can have an offshore subsurface volcanic eruption as well as an onshore shield-type fissure eruption, the third at the Fagradalsfjall system. So, more volcanic news today. Semeru volcano in East Java. Strong Lahars destroyed several bridges. Evacuations were ordered in the threatened villages. And we have some amazing footage. Let's take a look at the first piece. And these people deserve the Darwin Award. All right, we got this parsed up a little better. Apparently, it doesn't want to. And we have some more footage here. Looks like he's got his eye up high there. He thinks something's about to collapse. And there's some more footage here of a bridge.
Kondisi saat ini jembatan Kalirgoyo. Getaran 40 udah nyampe jembatan Kalirgoyo. Wah, jebol iki lur.
All this footage can be found on our Twitter feed at Diamond the Dave, so go check it out. And hear another angle from that same bridge.
Jembatan gantung Kalirgoyo putus dengan kepanjangan 150 meter, putus ini di desa Dusun Kebondeli, desa Semeru, kecamatan Candipuro, Kabupaten
Clearly
Lumajang,
bad things happening near Semeru. Ongoing heavy rainfall in the East Java region has caused strong lahars from Semeru. Mudflows have been triggered by the remobilization of ash and dome block deposits, resulting in dangerous clay-sized particles mixed with water-saturated debris flows. These come down similar to like cement in river valleys, and they're very dangerous and deadly. They have affected a broad eastern and southeastern area of the volcano, and people from threatened villages have been evacuated to leave their homes. So thoughts and prayers go out to all those near Semeru. Now, a rare spectacle is being forecast. Northern lights may be visible in 17 states next week. You may ask why. There is no solar storm coming, and that was my question. But for those who dream of witnessing the Northern Lights, an opportunity could present itself next week. The Aurora Borealis is expected to be visible in 17 states on Thursday, July 13th. That's just 6 days from now. The states that could potentially get a glimpse of this rare spectacle include Alaska, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Maine, Maryland, New York, New Hampshire, Washington, Vermont, Idaho, Massachusetts, Wyoming, and more, including Indiana. And if the storm is powerful enough, many more states to the south will get the visibility. This is all coming from the Aurora forecast. Yeah, let's get to that. Recent forecasts from the University of Alaska Fairbanks Geophysical Institute suggest a surge in auroral activity on the night of July 13th, with the possibility of this captivating light show becoming visible in several parts of Canada and the U.S. And so we're going with their forecast here. Here is that 27-day forecast and the peak in auroral activity on the 12th and the 13th. And there you go. Auroral activity will be high, weather permitting. Highly active auroral displays will be visible overhead from Ukhtavak to Bethel, Dinghamton, and Kacham, and visible low on the horizon of King Solomon. And this is today in Alaska. So there's going to be a high probability of aurora in Alaska as we check space weather, and we're waiting for an incoming CME to create some space weather, and there doesn't seem to be anything happening. There also is another CME being forecasted here at ISWA that left the sun on the 7th and is going to impact Earth on the 11th. So we've got a lot of space weather, including tonight. Here, the impact supposedly between the 7th and the 8th. Sometime this evening, we should feel the impact of this coronal mass ejection from a filament eruption. So lots of space weather on the horizon. Now, an interesting article here. Scientists find the remains of a catastrophe on Mars scattered across the planet. The Zhurong rover has operated on the surface of Mars for over a year since deployed on May 22nd. This is in 2021. Before the rover suspended operations on May 20th, 22, due to the onset of winter and the approach of seasonal sandstorms. The rover managed to traverse a total distance of 1,921 kilometers. During the first kilometer of this trek, the rover obtained vital data on Mars's extremely weak magnetic fields. And according to a new study by researchers from the Chinese Academy of Sciences, these readings indicate the magnetic field is extremely weak beneath the rover's landing site. The researchers was led by Amin Du, Yosong Gi, and Haopei Wang, 3 professors with the CAS Engineering Laboratory for Deep Resources Equipment and Technology and the Institute of Geology and Geophysics. They were joined by researchers from the National Astronomical Observatories, the School of Geophysics and Geomatics, and the College of Earth and Planetary Sciences, as well as the National Space... Wow, everyone was involved in this study. And that's not it. But I'm sure it was a good study, and in fact has given us a map of the Martian surface, which is here. And so if you're interested in that, the link will be below. We'll do a deep dive in a later podcast. Now, in a rare find, huge granite mass was discovered beneath the moon's far side, unlike anything seen as far as magmatic rocks ever on the moon. Until now, only a small grains of granitic material have been brought back from the Apollo missions. Finding such a large amount, like a Pluton, is unprecedented. And moon heat anomaly appears to be a new form of lunar volcanism. In fact, a massive blob of ancient granite has been found lurking beneath the moon's surface, evidence of a type of volcanism never seen on the moon before. Analysis suggests it's deeply buried giant mass of solidified magma, or a batholith, that was deposited 3.5 billion years ago when the moon was more geologically active. We've seen this on Earth fairly frequently, but planetary scientists are excited to observe it on the moon, making the moon more similar to Earth than we once believed, and that's a boom. Now, geologists challenge the conventional view of Earth's continental history and stability with a new study. This is, well, shaking up plate tectonics and giving a little bit more weight and support to the expanding Earth hypothesis. Leah and I will get into this in a deep dive on our radio show in the coming weeks, but the link will be below so you can bone up on the science. Now, tomorrow we're going to be doing an expose on the year without a summer, and that's 1816. A volcano erupted that blotted out the sun, and it is ominously known as the year without a summer. So why do scientists want to do it again? Well, we'll get into all of that over at Revolution Radio tomorrow noon in Studio B, noon Mountain Time, when Lee and I do our Cosmic Catastrophe podcast on the year without a summer, 1816, and why another one is coming. And that's a boom to knowledge. Subscribe if you haven't. Share this video. It helps with the algorithm, and we need your help to grow as we are shadow banned from the unsubscribed. Become a Patreon, support the work we do, and watch all of our content commercial-free in one place. We love each and every one of you. Be safe. And that is a boom. And we'll see you tomorrow on Revolution Radio, noon Mountain Time, Studio B.